talked about playing politics, and they were staring directly at us, and I want to commend the audience for parking their ideology at the door. All three of you should be very proud. Ideologically speaking, I'm not opposed to 3 Ps.
The council has about 6,000 members in the greater Vancouver region, but they couldn't all make it here today. They sent their regrets. I am also a research associate with the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives, a national public research institute. At the risk of being too philosophical, it is democracy I wish to focus on today rather than all the complex details of the RAV line and the public-private partnership, though these are both very much tied up in the question of democracy. As a member of a citizens organization and a researcher in democracy and economics, I'm acutely aware of the fact that in the past 20 years we have, as a society, been losing our public space to private space. In other words, we have more and more choices in the private marketplace, but fewer and fewer choices about the kind of community we want to have. I want to appeal to you today as guardians of public space, what people used to call the commons, because that is what you are. You are guardians of the commons. The private space will look after itself. After all, we already have 3,679 different kinds of running shoes to choose from. We need our elected representatives to protect our public space, and partly that means maintaining a maximum of control and stewardship over the services that make up the commons.
This isn't about private versus public. This is about a total transportation plan for the 2 million people that live in the greater Vancouver area.
We are losing public space in spite of the fact that as a nation we are 75% wealthier per capita than we were in 1970. In other words, potentially, we could have 75% more money to spend on so-called public goods. What does this have to do with the RAV and P3? My research and writing on government and that of many others demonstrates that the provincial and federal governments are increasingly committed to voluntarily giving up their protection of public space. Suddenly, in spite of the fact that transit has been run efficiently by the public sector for many years, it seems there is a problem that needs fixing. The problem, despite the fact that we are 75% wealthier, is that senior governments say they have no money. P3s are the solution, and if we do it by a P3, suddenly the money is available. There is persuasive evidence of this enforced private solution to a private service.
The bad things, the P3. I've consistently voted against P3s because, for lack of better words, I didn't understand them fully. And I don't think anybody can really say what the outcome of P3s will be. We've had a number of positions given to us by staff, lawyers, that are saying that there are uncertainties around them and there are risks, but nobody can detail exactly what those risks are, and there's many opinions on it.
The provincial government has stated clearly that it won't give the money unless RAV is done through a P3. What possible rationale can there be for such a condition? Even if the evidence showed that P3s can save money, and the preponderance of evidence suggests just the opposite, what democratic principle could possibly legitimize this kind of imposition on local governments? There is no principle, just the deliberate abandonment of public stewardship. The federal government is scarcely any better, though it has not set such a rigid condition. But it is just as committed to abandoning public space.
Today, I'm also listed, as Mayor Kingsbury said, a wild card or a crucial vote. Why am I a crucial vote? I'm a crucial vote because I am completely unshackled by philosophical opinions or by any kind of trade-offs that I might have made about any other issues.
Let me quote to you from a page of the website of Industry Canada, a page which aggressively promotes the privatization of municipal services by advising corporations on how to sell P3s. Here's the quotation. This section looks at the need for a P3 project champion. The most likely candidates are politicians, such as the mayor of a municipality. A secondary audience will be senior bureaucrats. A project champion who is determined to drive the process forward and to find solutions to obstacles is a prerequisite for a successful partnership. I guess I'm one of those obstacles. I have to wonder how many municipal councillors and mayors know that the federal government is actively encouraging large corporations to take over municipal services and advising them on how to seduce local governments into allowing the profit motive into the running of their essential public services. By what mandate does Ottawa undertake this extraordinary interference in local government?
As the chair of the Governance Committee, I can tell you I understand why the public and business call me fairly regularly concerned about the politics at the TransLink board table and people not thinking outside of the box and looking at the entire region when they're making decisions. And today is probably a classic example. And I just want to say for three of the colleagues that I have at this table, and one would be Mayor Brody and one Mayor Campbell and yourself, Mr. Chair, who have worked extensively with government. And I know in my heart that if the opportunity for flexibility with the dollars was there and something different with a P3, we would be dressing it here today. What we're doing is we're stalling this project one more time.
I urge you to consider the risks of this project, risks that are completely unnecessary. Even at $1.5 billion, with no cost overruns, the RAV line will take a huge chunk of money from the transit budget for years to come, delaying other crucial projects. As for the provincial money, none of it even appears until 2007, and then it dribbles out over 30 years, assuming future governments keep the promise. Second, as has been mentioned by several people, trade agreements, especially NAFTA, pose a very real threat when, not if, there is a contractual conflict with a private operator. Third, and this one worries me the most in some ways, once you have accepted a P3 approach for a large project like this, senior governments will use it as a precedent, making it extremely difficult to say no the next time.
The opportunity to lose $450 million, $300 million from the province, $1 billion in monies that could be utilized for air quality, transporting people, getting the cars off the road so we have better truck movement.
The municipal level of government may well be the last line of defense in keeping services public. I believe that if you stand on this principle, citizens will thank you. I urge you not to bend to the will of the provincial government. I plead with you to reject the P3.
We sat here this morning and we heard from the British Columbia Chamber of Commerce, the Vancouver Board of Trade, the Vancouver Port Authority, the Richmond Chamber of Commerce, the Business Council of BC. We've had letters from the Downtown Vancouver Business Improvement Association, the British Columbia and Yukon Hotels Association. This morning, the consulting engineers at British Columbia. The list goes on of people who believe that this project should proceed.
And I can say, at least on behalf, and I'll say it on behalf of the public, at least in my perception of the public, it's a very disappointing decision. So with that, I'm going to call the vote on it. All in favor? Against? It's defeated with, I'm going to record it.